An American MQ-9 Reaper drone is a fireball of twisted metal at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. It was shot down at precisely 0200 hours Zulu time over international waters. But how this happened, and what happens next, is the most critical intelligence question on the planet right now. Was this a deliberate, top-down order from Tehran to trigger a conflict? Or was it a catastrophic miscalculation by a rogue Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commander on a boat far from his masters? The answer will decide between a fragile peace and an all-out war in the next 72 hours. The situation is on a razor's edge. The Pentagon is not calling it an act of war. Not yet. Their public statements are measured, clinical. They confirm a high-altitude surveillance asset experienced an unplanned descent during routine operations. But behind the sterile language, the gears of the American war machine are grinding into motion. This was not just any shootdown. Initial telemetry and signals intelligence, intercepted in the seconds after the kill, suggest the missile was a Sayyad 4B, a weapon system Iran was not supposed to have fully operational. A system with capabilities that fundamentally alter the strategic balance in the world's most critical energy choke point. This changes everything. It means that the high-altitude ceiling that once gave American drones and surveillance aircraft a sanctuary of safety is gone, evaporated. The IRGC has just demonstrated a capability that places every single U.S. asset operating over the Gulf, from a Global Hawk down to a PEIGHT Poseidon, at direct risk. The immediate American military response has been swift, and it has been silent. No press releases, no grand announcements, just the stark, undeniable movement of hardware. Flight tracking data, confirmed by sources on the ground, shows a squadron of F-22 Raptors from Langley Air Force Base being rerouted from a deployment to Europe. Their new destination, Al Dhafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates. These are not multi-role fighters. The F-22 has one purpose: air supremacy. Its deployment is a clear and unambiguous signal. It is the electronic and kinetic counter to Iran's new anti-access, area denial capabilities. Washington is re-establishing the threat. Simultaneously, a B-50Y-2 Stratofortress, flying a long-duration mission out of Qatar, broke from its standard patrol route over the Arabian Sea. For 2 hours, it flew a holding pattern just outside Iranian airspace, a lumbering, 8-engine Spectre on Tehran's radar. This is strategic messaging in its rawest form. While diplomats speak of de-escalation, the Pentagon is moving its queens onto the chessboard, reminding Iran of the overwhelming conventional firepower that can be brought to bear at a moment's notice. The White House has been quiet. That silence is intentional. It creates a vacuum of uncertainty, forcing Tehran to guess at American intentions. Will they respond with diplomacy, a limited kinetic strike, or something far, far worse? That ambiguity is now the most powerful weapon in the American arsenal. But while the world's attention is fixated on the jets and the warships, the first real counterattack may have already happened. At approximately 2200 hours last night, the port facilities at Saudi Arabia's Ras Tanura oil terminal went dark. This was not a power failure. It was a sophisticated cyber assault. The attack targeted the industrial control systems that manage the flow of oil, from storage tanks to the supertankers that feed the global economy. For 6 critical hours, the digital heartbeat of the world's largest offshore oil loading facility flatlined. The digital forensics are still underway, but the initial fingerprints point directly to Unit 410 of the IRGC's Cyber Warfare Division. The malware's signature, the specific vectors of attack, they are all hallmarks of a playbook the NSA and Mossad have seen before. This is Iran's strategy laid bare. It is a masterful stroke of asymmetric warfare. They cannot match the United States carrier for carrier, or jet for jet. Instead, they operate in the gray zones. They create plausible deniability. The cyber attack is a warning shot, a demonstration that they can inflict immense economic pain without ever firing a missile. And it is not happening in a vacuum. As the Saudi terminals went dark, another front in this shadow war lit up. In Yemen, Houthi rebels, long-armed and funded by Tehran, launched a coordinated swarm of Shahed 136 drones. Their targets were not military. Their targets were commercial vessels transiting the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the southern choke point of the Red Sea. 3 container ships reported near misses. 1 oil tanker, the Anna, Hercules leader, had its bridge windows shattered by shrapnel from a drone that was intercepted by the USS Carney just 300 yards from its hull. This is not random. This is a coordinated, multi-front pressure campaign. Iran is reminding the world that the Strait of Hormuz is not the only choke point they can threaten. They are demonstrating their reach, their ability to sow chaos across the entire region, using their proxies as a shield. Tehran's official statements will deny everything. They will blame the cyber attack on rogue hacktivists. They will call the Houthi attacks an independent act of resistance. But the intelligence community knows better. These are the carefully orchestrated moves of a regime that feels cornered, a regime fighting back in the only way it knows how. To understand why Iran would risk such a brazen escalation, one must understand the war being fought within the regime itself. This is not a monolithic entity. There is a deep, bitter fault line running between the hardliners of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the more pragmatic diplomats in the foreign ministry. The IRGC thrives on conflict. It is the source of their power, their prestige, and their economic empire. Peace, diplomacy, and integration with the global community are existential threats to the IRGC's dominance. The drone shootdown, the cyber attack. These are not just messages to Washington. They are messages to the pragmatists within their own government. They are a declaration by the hardliners that they, and they alone, control the levers of escalation. They are sabotaging any potential for de-escalation before it can even begin. The crushing economic sanctions, while intended to moderate Tehran's behavior, may have had the opposite effect. They have empowered the IRGC's narrative that negotiation is fruitless, that the West only understands the language of force. With the Iranian economy in shambles and public discontent simmering, the hardliners see a foreign crisis as a potent tool for rallying nationalist sentiment and silencing internal dissent. It is a dangerous, high-stakes gamble. They are betting that the United States, weary of forever wars, lacks the political will for a major new conflict in the Middle East. They are testing American resolve. Their doctrine of forward defense is now in full effect. Intelligence chatter from Iraq and Syria has spiked in the last 12 hours. Known Quds force commanders are activating sleeper cells, moving assets, and preparing for contingency operations against U.S. bases in the region. They are pre-positioning their proxies to ensure that if America strikes Iran, the entire region will burn in response. This is their ultimate deterrent. Not a nuclear weapon, but the promise of a multi-front, unwinnable, asymmetric quagmire that would engulf American forces from the Levant to the Arabian Sea. And now, the single most powerful conventional weapon on Earth is accelerating its timetable. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group, originally scheduled to transit the Suez Canal in 5 days, has been ordered to make best possible speed. It will clear the canal in the next 24 hours. Its arrival in the Arabian Sea is the ultimate deadline. It is the 72-hour countdown clock that this entire crisis is running against. Once the Eisenhower is on station, with its air wing of nearly 90 aircraft, its Tomahawk armed cruisers, and its escorting destroyers, the military calculus changes completely. The window for an Iranian gambit closes. The presence of a carrier strike group gives the U.S. National Command Authority a full spectrum of options. It provides the air cover for special operations. It provides the platforms for a massive, sustained air campaign. It provides the missile defense to protect regional allies. Its arrival is the moment of maximum danger, because it is the point at which both sides will have their forces fully arrayed. It is the point of no return. So we stand at a precipice, with 3 clear and distinct possibilities over the next 72 hours. The first is quiet, back-channel de-escalation. Emissaries from Oman and Switzerland are working frantically behind the scenes to find an off-ramp, a way for both sides to save face without firing another shot. A formal American protest. A quiet Iranian apology delivered through intermediaries. It is possible, but increasingly unlikely, as the hardliners in Tehran consolidate their position. The second, and perhaps most probable outcome, is a limited, retaliatory U.S. strike. A single salvo of Tomahawk cruise missiles, not against a high-level command center, but against the specific mobile SAM battery that fired on the REAPER drone. A strike designed to be proportional, defensible under international law, and calibrated to restore deterrence without triggering a full-scale war. A message that says, "We know what you did, we know where you are, and we can touch you whenever we choose." The third outcome is catastrophic. Uncontrolled escalation. A nervous Iranian speedboat commander in the Strait of Hormuz misinterprets a warning shot from a U.S. destroyer. An American pilot, tracking an Iranian fighter that locks onto him with its radar, fires in perceived self-defense. In the fog of war, with tensions this high, a single miscalculation by a single individual could ignite the entire Persian Gulf. This is the nightmare scenario that keeps commanders at CENTCOM awake at night. The shootdown of the MQ-9 Reaper was not the start of a crisis. It was the result of a crisis that has been simmering for years. Now, the heat has been turned all the way up. The next 72 hours are not just about a drone or a missile. They are a fundamental test of will, capability, and nerve between Washington and Tehran. The decisions made in the next 3 days will echo for the next decade. We will be tracking every signal, every troop movement, and every diplomatic whisper. The board is set. The pieces are in motion. What happens next is unwritten. Subscribe to breaking_the_front and activate all notifications. In a situation this volatile, the intelligence we deliver is not just news. It's a necessity. You cannot afford to miss our next report.